Hi guys, and welcome to your weekly horoscope. This one is for Monday the 1st of May, and the dates are really satisfying this week. So it's Monday the 1st of May going through until Sunday the 7th of May. I find that very satisfying that each day is numbered correctly. So this video is going to be a bit different. I'm going to talk about the weekly horoscope. I'm also going to mention the lunar eclipse that happens on Friday the 5th of May. And at the end of the video that I need to make an important announcement, which is going to influence the channel for the next 3 months. So there's a lot to go through today. So the way these horoscopes work, these weekly horoscopes, is I look at what the planets are doing, how they interact and what energy they create amongst themselves. And I try and make sense of that energy because it influences us down here on planet Earth. And by seeing the good bits, you're able to kind of jump on those and maximize them and avoid some of the potential problems. So starting with Monday, the 1st of May, we have the moon in Virgo, which means you're grounded, you're analytical, you're practical, and you want to get things done. And you're very focused on the earthy kind of things. And it opposes Neptune and Pisces. Neptune is the water planet of dreams and intuition. And in opposition, the two are 180 degrees apart from each other. And that's the greatest amount of tension you can get in the astrology chart. So I feel like I just want to focus on the practical? What about all the spiritual stuff that's going on? So there's friction between the two, and I think you're operating on both levels. So letting your intuition guide you when making practical decisions will be a good idea on Monday. The Virgo moon also squares Venus in Gemini, which is very romantic, expressive, creative. It trines Uranus and Taurus. So the ability to deal with unforeseen circumstances and chaos and to restore order. It sextiles Mars in Cancer, so there's a huge focus on the family and relationships. It quincunxes Chiron and Jupiter in Aries. So again, at the same time, what is it that I want to do? So I feel like you're being pushed and pulled here a little bit on Monday. And it's important to just kind of accept the discomfort of that to a certain degree. The sun is in Taurus and it conjuncts Mercury in Taurus. So that is very, very earthy. The sun is your identity. Mercury is the communication planet. So exercise, being in nature, all of those things will feel good. But also reading physical symbols like tarot cards, for instance, or runes or coffee grinds. Pluto goes retrograde until the 10th of October. So you see, we've got a lot going on here. Pluto is an outer planet. In terms of the retrogrades in astrology, we have the three personal planets. We have Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And when they go retrograde a few times a year, it's really important because they affect us personally. The outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, they retrograde for about 6 months. And they're outer planets, so they affect kind of the world more than you as an individual. So the retrogrades of outer planets are not as relevant as personal planets. But Pluto is the planet of transformation and change, death and rebirth, and it's in Aquarius. So instead, whenever anything appears to go backwards, which is what the retrograde is, then the focus goes inward, right? And Aquarius is the sign of the humanitarian and the teacher. So instead of expecting to be taught about that via other people, you start to teach yourself. And if there is a humanitarian or teacher inside of you, Pluto in retrograde until October will help you bring that out if that's something that you want to do. So Monday, the 1st of May is Beltane. It's halfway through the spring equinox and the summer solstice. When I lived in Glastonbury, Beltane was always celebrated. People dressed up. It's a beautiful kind of holiday, and it's very much got that spring feel to it. You know, life is coming back into the world. The holiday, and this is based on the seasons in the northern hemisphere. So at this time of the year, it's about rebirth and renewal and new beginnings and the sun coming out and things getting a bit warmer and being able to enjoy nature. With all of the things that are going on, I think the day overall is going to feel very busy, but also practical. Like you're not overwhelmed, you're able to deal with all the things that are going on. I think there's going to be a lot of noise from different areas of your life, so work, family, and the great thing is you have the energy to deal with everything really well. Pluto goes inwards, like I mentioned. So now it's about asking, how can I be of service to myself, or what can I discover within myself that I can use to be of service? So it's really a recognition of your own experience, of your own wisdom, that you do have something to offer. And Pluto allows you to really see that in earnest. You know, a lot of people are great at certain things, but they have no clue. They're not aware that the value they bring to that. And it's sad, because then at times that talent can be exploited because the person owning it isn't aware that it's even there. Tuesday, the 2nd of May, we've got the moon going into Libra at 8:09. So that immediately connects you much more to other people. Libra is ruled by Venus, the planet of love, beauty, creativity. And Libra, the glyph of Libra, I always say, is a bridge with a bump in it. So it's about being able to overcome the obstacles between yourself and other people, and also, I suppose, on a spiritual level, or the things that keep you from feeling the love. The Libra moon trines Pluto in Aquarius, and it quincunxes Saturn in Pisces, and Mercury and the Sun in Taurus. So communication isn't going to be an issue. It's going to be enjoyable. Spiritually, again, I think you feel very supported, and the earthy side of things is very important. Nature, like I said the day before, exercise, physical connections with other people, seeing new places, all of that's going to be really enjoyable. So Tuesday the 2nd feels like an extension of Beltane to me, because it feels very spring-like and like an actual celebration. The moon allows you to make easy connections with people so you can have fun and enjoy yourself. Communication in itself is going to feel like something that you want to do, even if you're not the most chatty person in the world usually. Spending time with friends and family, obviously, then will feel great too. If communication is good, have people around you can communicate with. Wednesday, the 3rd of May, we've got the Libra moon opposing Chiron in Aries. So now there's a bit of friction, me or you, us or them. How do I decide? The Libra moon squares Mars in Cancer, so there may be some friction now in your relationships, and it quincunxes the Sun and Uranus in Taurus, which makes you somewhat stubborn and will give you a tendency to dig your heels in and to say, okay, I'm just not doing it out of principle now. It's not constructive, it's not helpful. So I think on Wednesday the 3rd, the main thing to avoid is stubbornness, especially if it's unwarranted, or if it's, just to get back at someone. So on Wednesday, some conflict may appear, especially with another individual who may not get your point or may not want to get your point. So the key is to keep your cool and to accept other people and their responses for what they are, even if they're less than what you hope for, instead of trying to change them. Also remember, Mercury is still in retrograde, so there is major room for miscommunication and errors in transportation and organization. So if there is something that's like unkind or annoying, try not to read too much into it, if it's communication with an individual. But if you're doing anything like signing contracts or anything is in written format, double check that very clearly. And also, if you're getting into it with someone, don't put it in writing on Wednesday. I think that's a good rule of thumb anyway, not to express negative opinions in writing, because it's much harder to get over or apologize for, except if it's, like in a text message. Okay. So let's see. Thursday, the 4th of May, we have the Libra moon opposing Jupiter in Aries. Yeah, so again, opposite. The Libra moon is I want to connect with people, I want to be creative, I want to connect. The friction with Jupiter in Aries, yes, I want to connect, but I want to do what I want, which isn't particularly helpful if you're connecting with people, because it's not all about one person. If you guys are all going out to a lunch and you say, I'm not waiting for anyone, I want to sit down right now and have my appetizer, then that's not going to be that much of a relaxed lunch. So again, Thursday, avoid stubbornness or just kind of being overly focused on yourself. The Libra moon then trines Venus in Gemini, which contradictorily, if that's a word, it's very articulate and charming, and it quincunxes Neptune in Pisces. So you've got this amazing imagination, access to your amazing imagination, your intuition. The moon enters Scorpio at 4:32 in the evening, so it takes a dive into really the emotional core truths of things. And then if you think about, I only want what I want, and then Scorpio, emotional control, it's too much of a good thing. I feel on Thursday with these combos, it's important to kind of back off. The Scorpio moon squares Pluto in Aquarius and trines Saturn in Pisces. So there's a tendency to respond emotionally to something that is said rather than to just go on reason and logic. It's emotionally very heightened now and even volatile. Venus in Gemini squares Neptune in Pisces and sextiles Jupiter in Aries. Okay, so that's very interesting because Venus in Gemini is romantic. The friction to Neptune in Pisces, the idea of love, the desire for a spiritual connection. And the sextile with Jupiter in Aries, it's like, I really want to go out there and get what I want. So Thursday, the 4th of May is a day full of emotion, and people are going to be much more likely to react than to focus on the facts. So if it triggers something, if there's an emotional response, that's what people are more likely to jump on than saying, okay, well, let me analyze this and take a breath. No. So if you're trading on eggshells with someone already, avoid them today. It's just, the atmosphere is so fraught that anyone who may be already a little anxious or frustrated or something, with this on top of it, it just takes it to the next level. The even more confusing thing about this, which in itself is going to be frustrating, is that Thursday is a wonderful day for romance and new relationships. So it can really go either way. It can be a nuclear argument, or it can be, eyes locking across the room, romance blossoming. But it's really either great or the opposite. So super extreme. Friday, the 5th of May, we do have the lunar eclipse, which is a full moon in Scorpio. And I just want to show you the chart here. I think I might even put it up. Yeah. Just want to talk about it briefly. So, first of all, it's a full moon. A full moon is when the moon reaches its completion point in the month. And it's like, hooray, celebration. And it showers us with its energy. It's in Scorpio. So we're going to be feeling a lot of watery, intense feelings, the ability to really get to the core truths of things. But because this is an eclipse, that process is interrupted. And it means that this emotional kind of core self-understanding is something that's going to be in place for a while. So on the one hand, it's being a little intense and potentially feeling somewhat controlling or unwilling to let go. But you know what I find interesting is that we've got that Pluto in retrograde. And it's saying, Pluto rules Scorpio, and it's saying, instead of getting frustrated and pointing the finger, look in here and see what you can let go of. So it's a way to, we all have like things. I mean, I have things where I'm like a little OCD or controlling or stubborn or whatever. And it's good to let go of those things. And this is the opportunity to do it. Yeah, so this lunar eclipse happens on the 5th of May at 5:33 in the afternoon. That's based on European time. And if you look at the center of the chart here, it doesn't quite fit. It's this big red square, which is untidy and squished. And that's called a grand cross. A grand cross is an area of real friction. It's like, am I coming or going? It's like, I don't know my, wrist from my elbow here. And it is about this sun in Taurus opposing the moon in Scorpio. Then it's also an eclipse. So it's just like, what am I feeling here? And there's a reason for that. Because with Pluto in retrograde, you can then go inwards and say, what am I feeling? And what are my amazing experiences that I can use to be of service to other people? So that happens on Friday, the 5th of May. Then also on that day, we have the Scorpio moon opposing Mercury, Uranus, and the sun in Taurus. So Scorpio is emotional control. Scorpios make great family members because they can bring and keep the family together. They have these super strong ties. Like most of my family, my mum is a Scorpio, my dad was a Scorpio, and they always had a thing. It was just like they could look at you and you knew exactly what they were trying to convey. And I think that's something that's very unique to Scorpio in a way. But also Taurus is very solid and physically very demonstrative and able to control practical circumstances and to amass money and to create security and comfort and safety. So we've got these things opposing each other. So again, it's like, what do I control? Is it like my feelings, my relationships, or my life? It's the question of, hey, maybe I shouldn't control anything isn't really going to come up. There's definitely going to be the need to say, I want this and I want to take charge of it. The Scorpio moon then trines Mars in Cancer and quincunxes Chiron in Aries. So that's great for relationships and really standing up for yourself in the sense of this is what, or getting real with yourself and saying, this is what I want in my relationships. Venus in Gemini sextiles Jupiter in Aries. When I saw that connection, I was like, okay, Cupid has arrived. Venus in Gemini is so positive and creative and articulate. I spoke a lot about it in the last week's horoscope. And Jupiter in Aries is the good luck planet, and it's urging you to take independent action. And it's saying, I will support you in taking independent action. So for you to put something out there that's creative expression, or to say, do you know what, I don't want to be single, I'm going to go find a partner. I know that's overly simplified. Or it's, I want to start my own business. I've ho-hummed about it long enough. And even with Mercury in retrograde, Venus is not in retrograde. So if you get that kind of notion during the eclipse, remember Scorpio gets to the core of your emotional truth. So if an emotional truth about yourself is revealed, it's not trivial. It is very, very, very important. And this eclipse is so intense. Whenever we go through something really intense, there's a blessing that's just as intense on the other side, because we always have balance in everything. So the eclipse in itself is emotionally volatile. There'll be a mix of feelings, intensity, dissatisfaction, and unwillingness to budge and to even accept reality. It's one of those days where it's really important to do what you want and not to entertain people, places, or things who have an attitude or put pressure on you, because you won't tolerate that during this eclipse. You want the truth, you want authenticity, anything which makes you feel less than that, you're going to bristle at, I think. Saturday, the 6th of May, we've got the Scorpio moon forming a trine with Mars in Cancer. So now we're really in the realms of the domestic, of the home, my family. I love them so much. Neptune in Pisces, the family of my spiritual family, my intuition, my creativity. And it quincunxes Jupiter in Aries and Venus in Gemini. Okay, so for me, this is the perfect vibe for a garden party where everyone's happy and laughing and telling jokes, really. It looks so positive, sociable, confident, dreamlike, nurturing, and emotionally rewarding. The moon then goes into Sagittarius at 4 minutes past 10 in the evening. The moon in Sagittarius now isn't concerned with finding out the emotional truth. It's about going on holiday. It's about saying, I want to explore and discover things that exist in an intellectual sense through education, or I want to see the world and find new places. The Sagittarius moon squares Saturn in Pisces and sextiles Pluto. Wow. So that combination, Pluto and Aquarius, that combination really allows you to have a spiritual breakthrough and to go on a spiritual adventure if you want to have one. So, you know, like, isn't it called journeying or shamanic vision quests or something, where they take you through a meditation, like a guided meditation, and then you go through your own process and you have all these experiences. That kind of practice, if you've never tried that, can be so revealing, because you meet these spiritual characters along the way that have a life of their own. So if you've never tried that kind of thing, please do that. If you've got doubts about, is the spiritual real? Am I just making it up? Am I being guided? Deliberately going on to those kind of quests, spiritual journeys, meditations, the experiences you have, they kind of prove it to you, because they're real experiences. So on Saturday, things become much rosier as far as I can tell. There's love and romance in the air again, without the volatility. It's a great day for intellectual travel via education or something like that meditation thing I just mentioned. I'm just going to close the door. I'll be right back. Yeah, so it's good for things like that. But I think the main thing is the ability to connect with people in a really earnest, significant, meaningful way, and even in a romantic way, and the stress is gone. So yes, so either expanding your horizons by learning something new or having a spiritual practice, or by actually going on a trip and going out for the day and changing up the scenery, you're going to have lots of energy on Saturday. So try and do something fun for yourself and for other people. It's really a kind of day where going out is much better than staying in. And you'll get itchy feet, I think, if you don't get to do something you enjoy. Sunday, the 7th of May, we've got the Sagittarius moon forming a square with Saturn in Pisces. So it's more about practical experiences now than spiritual ones. It quincunxes Mercury in Taurus, the Sun in Taurus, and Uranus in Taurus. Taurus is the bull, right? So it's all about physical adventure now. So if you want to go on that spiritual vision quest, do it on Saturday, because on Sunday you'll have absolutely no interest in it. You'll want to go on a physical adventure. The Sagittarius moon trines Chiron in Aries. So you have your own back and you're in your own corner. Venus goes into Cancer. Venus is the planet of love and beauty, remember? And Cancer is the 4th sign of the zodiac, which is responsible for your roots, your home, what you call home, what feels like home, what makes you feel, this is where I belong. So with Venus going into Cancer for about the next month, finding your home as such is a possibility. And also, just on a much more practical level, it makes relationships much easier because it's warm, it's forgiving, it's gentle, and it's paternal or maternal. I'm going to let this go because this is a beautiful person and the details aren't that important. I'm not going to sweat the small stuff. I'm just going to love this person because that's who I am. I want to love. Venus in Cancer then quincunxes Pluto in Aquarius. Hallelujah. So that is a journey now of self-love. And what I was saying with Pluto in Aquarius in retrograde earlier, that ability to look in and to say, do you know what, this thing that I can do is actually like great. And on Sunday, that realization then, it's one, you can have several realizations, but it's also a way of loving yourself by actually acknowledging who you actually are. Yeah, so as you can see, it's a really, really full-on week. It's very intense. Okay, so I'm just thinking about this next bit. So that's what I get for you in this week. That's what I think the energy you'll be working with. Yeah, I hope it gives you an idea. I need to now make a personal announcement, which I'm a bit nervous about, because I don't want to get on anyone's nerves, and I think this is going to get on some people's nerves, so I apologize in advance. I just want to give you a bit of a backstory. Like, I started this channel, which I love and adore. Guys, anyone who's watched me, thank you so much, and I'm going to get to the point now. It's been like, in May, I think it's the 9-year anniversary. And the way it started is I started to make the tarot videos and the astrology videos, and I started to get appointments booked into my calendar, and I started to have a waiting list, right? And the waiting list over the years has usually been at 4 months, and that's what it says on the website, but sometimes it's been more, it's been like 5 months, and sometimes it's gone down to 3 or maybe even like 2. And that was always the calendar. So I got into this loop, right? So my daily routine then would be in the morning to make my tarot video, or at lunch, but not, either before 10 minutes before 12 or 10 minutes after 12 because it's just constant. But at that time, it's a nightmare. Anyway, so I do that every day. And then in the afternoon, I do my appointments. And it just kind of repeats like that, right? So I've got into this loop and you guys, I think, I really do love my job. But what I have noticed is that I've been doing this now for a while, and this loop, I haven't really had a chance to kind of step back and reflect on what I'm going to be doing next. And now I'm in a position in my life where I moved here like a year and a half, or almost 2 years ago. And now they raised my rent, which I told you guys about, and I'm going to have to move. And no matter how much I meditate on it or how much I have been trying to figure it out, I have no idea where I'm going to go. The problem with me is my background is I don't think it's very relatable. Like, I was born in Germany, right? But then lived there till 8. Then we moved to Botswana, lived there till 13. South Africa to 18. Wales to 23. Australia to 25. Holland to 26, England at 27, and then I stayed in England for a while. But the problem with that kind of hopping around, especially in my earlier years, I don't really feel like I belong anywhere. Like, there's always been an element of the search. Where am I going to be happy? And the other thing is, I don't have any ties. Like in England, I had my partner, and that tied me to England, like it does most people, right? But because I'm single, like, it really doesn't matter if I now go to Israel or to South Africa or a different suburb in this city, or if I go back to Glastonbury, which actually, to be honest, is the only place in my adult life I ever felt home. The problem with Glastonbury is there are only 8,000 people there, and I love the calm and the green pleasant land and the sheep, but I'm single. It got really, that's why I went to Brighton. At times it did get boring. So you see, it hasn't ever been quite right. So long story short, I'm now going to take what my ex Keith calls a sabbatical. I'm going to go away for 3 months, and I'm going to try and figure some stuff out, because it's not just the living situation, but you guys, if you've watched me for a while, like my last significant relationship was ended in 2015. And I just want to, I'm 41 years old. I don't think I'm having a midlife crisis. I don't really care. But I want to take some time for myself to say, listen, Greg, what are you going to do next? Because this isn't really doing it for you, and I think you need to take some time to figure it out. Okay, so the reason I'm doing this now is because I need to take the break and I need to figure this out. But also, it's because I have a great opportunity, because the calendar I was talking about, my schedule, my waiting list for readings, is at an all-time short. I think it's a month or a month and a half at the moment. So for me, that's the perfect opportunity to take this sabbatical, because I'm able to, how am I trying to say this? Okay, so, right. Anyone who's still in my calendar, anyone who's on my waiting list, it's really straightforward. You've got 2 options. I provide a service, right? That's what you're ordering, astrology, the tarot, readings. If I'm not there to provide that service, 100% you get all your money back and you get a refund, okay? If you're in my calendar and you don't mind waiting a little bit longer, then we can reschedule you. So that's the 2 options, refund or reschedule. While I'm away, Robin is still going to be looking at everything. The emails, I'll obviously still be around. So it's totally, your choice. And what I mean by I'm able to do this now, because I have such a short calendar, is some people, of course, are going to be very generous and say, okay, I'll wait for Greg. Let him do his thing. And it's a pain and it's a delay, but I'm just going to wait and reschedule. And other people are going to say, I'm not waiting. I wanted the reading now. I want a refund, right? And I love both of you. Whatever you decide, it's your stuff, So I totally, thank you for ordering with me in the first place. But the reason I'm able to do this is because there's only a month of worth of waiting list, that financially it is doable. Because for me, you know, when you're self-employed, for me to like not work now for the next 3 months, financially is a very bad decision. And despite knowing that, I need to like, I can't just spend my whole life worrying about money. I can't. I need to like I found my purpose in my work. And that took a while. I haven't found my purpose in where I'm going to live. I haven't found my purpose in my relationships, my my physical body. I still have such problems with it. There are things I just want to like look at. And I think at 41, the time is now, you know? I don't want to drag this stuff around for the rest of my life. And ultimately, I feel like I need to grow up a bit. I do. I need to get my act together, and I'm going to need a little bit of time for that. So that's the gist. I'll mention it in the Daily Tarot video as well. So I'm going to be gone, as of now, and then I'm going to come back beginning of August. And have a think about your appointment if you're in my calendar. And Robin and I will get it sorted for you. And each one of you, everyone in my calendar will be contacted. So don't even worry. And I have been in business I have been here on this YouTube channel for 9 years. And the one thing I do know is you never ever mess with people with their money, because that's where they get upset. So if the service wasn't provided, you will get your money back. Okay. So also, I mean, you know, the other thing is we've got a great community here, and you guys tune in every day and you watch me and you support me. And I'm sure some of you, well, I hope, are going to miss the videos, you know? So I'm aware that I'm just going to annoy a few people because I'm not doing what I'm usually putting out. And some people may not like that, understandably. But really, I think I need to practice what I preach and like take care of myself and figure stuff out. Yeah. Okay, so that's the long story. So that's it. I will see you soon. I hope you have a fabulous week here. And yeah. I look forward to, God, it feels terrible, this. Like I'm already missing. But I feel like I have to do it anyway. I'm going to zip it now. I think you get the gist. And that's the other thing. I do a lot of talking, you know, and I need to do a little bit of listening and thinking if I'm going to figure stuff out. I can't just listen to myself constantly because the answers aren't there. So what's the point? All right. So I hope you have, for myself anyway. So I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll still make the Daily Tarot video, and then I'll see you in 3 months. All the best, take care, and I'll speak to you soon-ish.